Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Strider Story Stream. It is Thursday at 7 p.m. It's a balmy 94 degrees out in Houston. It's the first hot day we've had in a while. So I'm going to be spending all this weekend at the pool. It should be great. Well, welcome. Welcome indeed. We've got a lot to talk about today. First, let's check out the chat. Oh, Vagabond saying first and Scream Queen Selena saying second, because of course. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. Vagabond just saw a VTuber's name, a title, and then he had to drop in. But yeah, we got a lot to talk about this week. A lot's been happening. A lot's been happening, and not all of it good. But we have actually had a couple pretty big successes, and something to maybe not, depending on your viewpoint, something to look forward to. So let's get right into it. First and foremost, I'll start with the negative news first. So you know how the left is always saying refugees are welcome here, and they're always extolling the virtues of anybody who's actually not from their respective European country or just majority white country. They're saying, oh yeah, refugees are always welcome here. Sure. Well, it turns out that's actually not the case. Whenever President Trump decides to invite in refugees from South Africa. Well, why would the left have an issue with the refugees from South Africa? Well, it's because those refugees are Afrikaners, which means that they are citizens of South Africa who can trace their lineage, can trace the roots back to the Boers, like specifically the Dutch, the Germans, English, because at one time South Africa was a hotly contested area, and over time the land kind of shifted leaders a few times, shifted ownership, and then but South Africa was primarily known for being the instigators of apartheid practices, which were actually pretty barbaric. Unfortunately, that was 30 years ago. I mean, yeah, and since then we've had Nelson Mandela, we've had people after him try to unite the country, and say what you will about Nelson Mandela, he was actually incredibly successful about that. Well, it turns out all it took was for one generation to suddenly decide, no, actually, we want white people dead. So that's exactly what South Africa was doing: is persecuting their white citizens for the crime of simply being white. But here's the problem, though: these people are farmers. The white farmers, the Afrikaners, they are the ones who grow these people's food. And because communists aren't necessarily known for their intelligence or for their brains in the first place, yeah, you decide to make enemies of the people who grow your food. You idiot. So of course President Trump was like, yeah, that's a problem, so I'm going to bring those people over here. Well, it turns out the left doesn't like the refugees after all, because it turns out that every single leftist agency, including the Episcopal Church, including that one Episcopal bishop, which is a reason enough for women never to be in ministry ever again, that was baying and screeching and howling and moaning at President Trump after his inauguration about protecting trans kids or whatever. It turns out she pulled her refugee program, and over this specifically. And then you had a major leader in the Episcopal Church condemning it, saying that saying essentially, no, it doesn't count. No, we don't want white refugees over here. We only want the brown ones or the non-white ones. We don't, or whatever. Turns out they're not actually fans of refugees whenever the refugees are the wrong color. Oh, I guarantee you that a lot of these leftist idiot thought leaders and journalists they're all of a sudden now saying, well, this is the concern because we're bringing over the wrong people. Yeah, what do you think we've been saying for the past 15 years, idiots? But I guarantee you they want it. These people are indeed racial supremacists. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. They are exactly that, and they've always been that way. But now the mask is coming off, and it's kind of wonderful to see. In a way, it's sad because I hate that we're at this point in this country where there are a bunch of activists who would love nothing more than to watch, people who look like me be slaughtered in the street for the crime of being born an Afrikaner, for the crime of being born the wrong color. I mean, these leftist people, they want to watch people like, they want to see people like me dead. I'm sorry, they just do. And it makes me sick. It makes me sick to share society with these people. But, here we are. But what's so great that again, President Trump is just doing what he does best and shines a light on the insanity. That's all he ever has to do is throw out a statement, sit back and watch the left go absolutely ape. And apparently, it turns out that now, if you talk about the plight of the Afrikaners within South Africa and the persecution that they are undergoing by their black overlords, all of a sudden, you're gonna be tried for treason. I'm sorry, I wasn't the leader of South Africa saying, "Oh yeah, they're just being crybabies. How dare they say this thing?" There's so much more context to this. Like, no, no. If you're persecuting your fellow citizens, if you are killing them, if you are torturing them, if you are disenfranchising them completely, if you are taking away their possessions, if you are depersoning them in full view of the entire world, when we call it out, that is what it is. When you say kill the Boer, the farmer, I'm sorry, we tend to take you at your word, especially when you are doing the very thing you say you're doing. It's like Iran saying death to America. Oh, we don't mean it. It's a cultural thing. Well, I'm sorry, you're arming terrorists, you're arming ISIS, you're arming Hamas. What do you expect? What do you expect us to think, idiots? But it's just hilarious to watch the left all of a sudden fall all over each other, because now they have to now they have to deal with the fact in both their thought leaders and their religious leaders that no, actually it was never about immigration, it was never about refugee programs, it was just about making things less white. I'm sorry, the great replacement theory ain't a theory anymore. It ain't a theory anymore, and frankly, it hasn't been for a long time. But now that we got the unpleasantness out of the way, let's go into something a little bit better off, actually. I don't even know why I brought that up. It's just been on my mind a lot. It's been on my mind a lot. Because I'm just watching so many people try to justify the wanton slaughter of people just based on the color of their skin, which is just evil. It's frankly evil. But this was actually pretty fun, and I'll share my screen here that we're going to pivot to the VTubing space. So I will admit, guys, I am not at all familiar with the VTubing space. I am not a VTuber fan. I do not watch Kirsche, as she is known. I don't, not necessarily on her streams. I've seen her on side scrollers, and I think she's an absolute delight. She's an absolute sweetheart, and she's hilarious. She's really, really funny and really, really talented. And a lot of people watch her. A lot of people like her. So naturally, the left hates this. So here's the thing about Kirsche. So a little bit of background on this. So Vice recently, and there's a lot more nitpicky details here, but Vice, the major news network, decided that they were going to run a hit piece, not once, not twice, but 3 different times on Kirsche Verstal, trying to label her as some kind of right-wing neo-Nazi white supremacist. All that bullcrap that they try to accuse anyone of who is to the right of Joseph freaking Stalin. Because let's be perfectly honest, Vice has not been a legitimate news source for a very long time. They have been nothing since I think George Soros and his shadow company bought it back in 2023. And so of course they're going to go after anyone who is not in lockstep with the left, like Kirsche. But Kirsche does tell some funny, edgy, highly sexualized jokes because she's a VTuber. And the thing is, the VTuber space is is incredibly varied, because you have people from all over you have people from all different dynamics, all different demographics, and all different orientations, all different political persuasions. Perfectly fine. And they have a huge fan base. And what makes them VTubers, they're virtual YouTubers. So this whole thing does not go away. This entire avatar is pretty much their entire personality. Now, of course, there is a person behind it. Absolutely, we know that. There's a person that has to be stuff to bring some talent to it. But Kirsche is one of those people who's got a decent following. So Vice was trying to hear Kirsche tell it, and she detailed it quite a bit on side scrollers today. In her estimation, the reason that Vice specifically targeted her was to try to make an example of her so that other VTubers would not step out of line. So specifically, there is a writer named Anna Valens. Now, Anna Valens is not a woman, despite the name. He is a troon. He is a piece of human debris that I have never. Well, I'm not going to finish that sentence, but basically, that man could be trapped in a burning car, and I would sit there and bust out a bag of marshmallows, because the crap that man, that disgusting autogynephiliac piece of crap has been found out to be spilling out. He is a fan of breeding programs, and I'm not gonna repeat what he said, but basically breeding women to the point of injury. Now, remember, this is a trans woman, so I don't know why a trans woman would be speaking like that, unless, of course, he was just a piece of garbage man who tried to hide behind this new identity to avoid suffering consequences. By the way, this dude, not Kirsche, but the dude attacking her, is also an admitted pedo. He described it as some sort of OCD with pedo tendencies. I don't know. I don't care. It's evil and, wood chipper. So Kirsche went silent for a little bit and trying to make it go away, but it didn't go away, actually, because Anna Valens and everybody that he galvanized to attack Kirsche was just going on and on and on about it. And of course, the VTuber space is full of left-wingers who are trying to dogpile on anyone who does not see things their exact way. So of course, Kirsche's made a lot of enemies because, again, she is right of center. Trump fan, as far as I'm aware. I could be wrong, but she's no liberal. But come on, she is certainly one of the most liberated right wingers, quote unquote, I guess I have ever seen. So she remains silent for a little bit, and then she starts speaking out. And specifically here, she releases a Google doc the other day. And let's read it together. Why is Vice's Waypoint pushing for 2018-style cancel culture for VTubing? Or an open letter from Kirsche for Stahl. Hey, Vice, what the fuck? And I say that because she has a Boston accent. It's adorable. I'm Kirsche Vestal. I'm a YouTuber, which means I stream with a digital avatar that looks like this. Yes, indeed. You can catch me on my stream on Twitch or YouTube. I play games, watch memes, share my thoughts on the news, what streamers do. I basically just tangent on whatever I find interesting, and my honorable chatters affectionately call me a Whiplash streamer. I have over 9,000 browser tabs and 180,000 fans across YouTube, Twitch, and X. Yay, Porsches. I guess that's a reference to something. Also, I am not a Nazi. They walk funny. He did too much meth and didn't like to laugh. This is also her exact humor too. They probably would hate me, most of my friends. This is also true. So how come you keep calling me one? Vice used to be known for honest, real stuff, kind of like what Gawker aspired to be before, it decided to step into the ring, brother. You did a whole issue dedicated to people who are mentally ill. You sent Dennis Rodman to North Korea. I remember that, actually. You even used to call it the mainstream media for not getting YouTube. In any event, starting about a month ago, Waypoint, which is one of your verticals, a quasi-independent outlet, a failed gaming news site that you're trying to revive, something most people don't even know exists. Either way, it started publishing articles about me saying I'm a bigot, I'm a Nazi simp, and I'm responsible for all sorts of online harassment. It's completely untrue, of course, but also, why me and why now? I am an anime fox woman. What could a once respectable news org want with me? Once respectable, I love that. Is it 2018 all over again? Is Vice the PC police for YouTubers? So again, Vice, what the fuck? Okay, let me break it down. I know I've covered this in my past couple of streams, but Vice isn't a subscriber yet. Maybe if I tangent about their Colombian donkey fucking video a few more times, they'll come around. That was an actual thing, by the way. That was a real article. I can go look it up if you want. I looked it up. It's gross. Here's a headline from the first article you published about me. Now take a good long look at this because you're never going to see it again. Why is this gamer subs VTuber pushing the great replacement theory? Not to brag or anything, but I have over 184,000 fans. You're accusing me of bigotry because one of my fans is a supposed Nazi? That's like saying McDonald's supports communism because Kim Jong-un likes Big Macs. Honestly, that looks disgusting. Had to Kim Jong-un on X. I mean, is that a high? I'm not sure what that means. Rather than back up this outrageous accusation, the article starts by talking about my sponsor, GamerSupps. There's a whole lot of lore going into GamerSupps. We won't go into it here, but however, GamerSupps is in hot water with many VTuber fans due to the behavior of one particular creator working with the company. Oh, hey, Emily Kruger, what's up? Working with the company, Mythic Talents, Kirsche Verstal, an anime fox girl with a knack for sharing alt-right talking points, which basically means if you're, again, right to the right of Pol Pot. Kirsche has landed herself in controversy after controversy online due to her right-wing beliefs. No, actually, that's not true. She has not landed herself in controversy. People like Vice readers have dogpiled on her for no reason. At this point, it begs the question whether GamerSupps will one day pull the plug on the VTuber for good. This is concern trolling on the part of this company, by the way. This is nothing more than, are you sure you want to sponsor this person? They're a bad guy, you know. So Kirsha continues, huh? My first time hearing of all the supposed controversy. Literally, I've been sponsored by GamerSupps since September of 2023. And they're still sponsoring her, by the way. This is a tactic called manufacturing consensus, where activists claim everyone agrees with them to make their points seem legitimate. Note that this paragraph doesn't cite a single source. But also, it is true that I've never hidden my political leanings, nor should you, nor should anyone. And yet, never heard of any controversy until this article started pretending there was one. I had a few weirdos on Twitter harassing me, but as an oppressed person of anime, I'm used to that kind of thing. If you listen to Kirsha at all, this reads exactly like she speaks. And the sources cited in this article are anonymous posts on Reddit. Really? Even the people making the post claim they don't watch me and are just repeating hearsay. So a Vice journalist is repeating hearsay from someone who is repeating hearsay. Really? And this is true, actually. The Anna Valens just linked someone saying, well, I don't really know anybody. I don't really know Kirsha. I just heard she's a bad person. Okay. Reddit source, really? She continues. Here's the headline of the second article Vice published about me. VTubing has an elephant in the room. Bigotry. Now it's funny. My buddy, I was at the Fort Worth Zoo last weekend, and my buddy was like, hey, dude, I think we need to talk about the elephant in the room. It's over there. We were in front of the elephant thing. It was funny. It was a bad joke. I told him to go into the elephant enclosure and put his head underneath the elephant's foot. Because that's how we roll. So, obviously, I think harassment is bad, she continues. I don't do it, and I tell all my fans not to do it. Yeah, this is true. Doesn't stop us, though. The suggestion I made repeatedly in this article that I and my fans endorse harassment is totally false. In fact, fully half of the tweets quoted in this article are from a person who goes by nbinted or bint. Now, this is actually funny. Who has serially harassed me for months. Does Anna Valens mention this in her article? His article. No. Do I have proof of this harassment, which I would have shared if Vice had bothered to ask? Absolutely. Here are just a couple of examples. And so she shows four posts here from Bint, which, by the way, actually side scrollers showcase this a little bit. So she was talking for a good 5 minutes, and they're scrolling through Bint and every single instance of Bint mentioning Kirsha. 5 straight minutes, and then just scrolling while she's talking. And Craig makes a point of saying, guys, just so you know, we're still going. It's actually quite funny. So again, this is all Bint just being stupid. This is just really recently. But the article doesn't talk about this. Instead, the article talks about my sponsor, GamerSupps, and tries to make it seem like there's some sort of controversy brewing. And then she quotes the article, original, earlier this week, independent YouTuber Rin Penrose announced the end of her partnership with gaming supplement company GamerSupps. According to Penrose, her decision came due to their associations with creators whose views strongly conflict with my own, as well as a lack of communication from the company on this issue. Now, by the way, if you do this, if you use the last sentence, I can get that. I can kind of get that. Maybe it could be some communication. But when you say do their association with creators whose views strongly conflict with my own, that's bitch-made behavior. I am sorry. That is bitch-made behavior. If you can't associate with somebody just because they do business with somebody who doesn't see things in your exact manner, I'm sorry. That's bitch-made. So Kirsha continues. Look, I love that GamerSupps supports VTubers from every side of the political spectrum. That's one of the things that makes them such an amazing partner. That and their awesome supplements. And she'd have some hilarious self-promotion here. Use code Kirsha for 10% off your GamerSupps orders. Brilliant. I hope I continue to work with GamerSupps, but if this effort is to cancel me as successful, I have to wonder who's next. Here's the third article Vice wrote about me. Waypoint stands with Anna Valens. Now, this was, and I tweeted about this too, this was such a cringe article. My God. And again, you can't read it because it doesn't exist anymore. We'll get to that in a second. Again, I agree harassment is bad. No one should do it. I don't do it. I tell my fans not to do it. The article says, everything she's going through, but I'll sum it up. Anna is being attacked for simply asking questions about certain areas of the VTubing community, which she's an active part of. Just asking questions? Look, I read those articles pretty carefully. I don't see a whole lot of questions, mostly a whole lot of statements based on Reddit threads and other anonymous sources. This seems targeted at me, and why? I'm an anime Fox Girl VTuber. You're Vice. What the fuck? Also, this happened in the article. The time for games is over. Yep, that was true. It was there. Is irony just totally dead? We're still talking about VTubing, right? It's clear it's just a holdover from Gamergate, so Anyway, not to be all you started it, but you literally started it. There was no controversy. No one apart from a few anonymous internet trolls, Vice quotes in its articles, was butthurt about what I was doing or saying on my stream until you started writing articles calling me a Nazi. And now you're calling me a bully and saying it's time to start a war? This is 2018 style cancel culture all over again, or is it VTuber gate? Anyways, getting pretty tired. Someone says something you don't agree with? Start saying they're controversial, name drop all the brands they work with, play the victim card, or rage tweet at them until their sponsors bail. This is the playbook used over and over again. She listed a couple of Gamergate examples. Anyway, if we're just asking questions, I have one. How come in the middle of all this, Anna Valens is asking people to buy her gifts on Throne? Surely this isn't just a big branding opportunity for someone who wants to become the definitive YouTuber journo, right? Right? I don't want to go to court over this, but if you keep calling me a Nazi and keep calling for my sponsors to drop me, what else am I supposed to do? Seriously, Vice, is this what you want? You want to be the PC police for VTubers? On your front page right now, you have articles about crazy, horny mud truckers and how cool it is to be a goth in Ukraine right now, but my stream is too controversial? I'm asking nicely. Ooh, I guess it's a thing. It's an anime thing. Please take these articles down and stop pretending there's controversy when there isn't. I promise if you do, I'll go back to streaming. And if you can go back to reporting on the Berlin Sex Toy Expo, I remember that article is pretty funny, or whatever it is you do now. Love, Kirsha. Now, here's the thing. What made this so funny to me is all during Side Scroller, she's like, yeah, I was preparing to do some stuff if they didn't do anything. Well, it turns out that Vice, if I can get to my my thing here. Oh, good. I found out my ex actually listened to I reported a violent threat, and that was pretty fun. They do listen. See if I can find it here. Yep. So let's take a look here. So it turns out, yep, Vice, you cannot find those articles anymore anywhere on their website. Not one of them. So I can't help but laugh uproariously about that. And here's Bent, the one who was going all up and down. This is just yesterday. Today's the 15th. This is the 14th. Just yesterday. To be clear, I'm fine. Thank you to friends who've messaged me. And if you're not someone I follow, please don't try to DM about this. It's so funny because this person, they're backtracking like crazy. This Bent idiot is backtracking so bad because it turns out that Kirsha has some lawyers on her side and she's willing to go after these people. And the thing is, that's all you need to do when people like this try to engage in 2018 style cancel culture, to ever put it that way. All you got to do is threaten them with lawsuits. May have something to back up those lawsuits, of course, but all you got to do is threaten them because they're cowards. They're cowards because they won't actually talk to Kirsha directly. They'll talk all about her. They will certainly passively aggressively be like, oh, company that works with this person, you don't actually want to be associated with them, do you? It's the same people it's the same stuff that Eric July deals with, same people that Rip Reverse fans deal with. This concern trolling, it's just passive aggressive bitch made BS. And it's wonderful because what's hilarious about this, remember we were talking about Anna Valens, the author of this whole thing. So he's tried to start a hashtag, his own hashtag, said I stand with Anna Valens. Yeah, there's like 6 to 10 people who are tweeting it. Then you get to Kirsha, and it was her thing. It's called hashtag I stand with Foxu. So if you're in the chat, hashtag I stand with Foxu. Thousands and thousands and thousands of people coming out on her side, including Asmongold, one of the biggest VTubers, one of the biggest YouTubers on the planet right now, one of the biggest streamers on the planet right now. Freaking Asmongold. You can't have been handed more of an L if you tried, Vice and everyone like this. But the thing is, these people are absolute psychopaths. Absolute psychopaths. Because they only succeed if you let them. If someone tries to cancel you, become uncancelable. Do not cave into their demands. Do not back down because they are bullies. They are pieces of human garbage, especially if they're operating like this. Oh, you better believe that there is absolutely nothing you can do to defend yourself properly from these people. And again, Vice went all tail between their legs, ran away like the bitch-made assholes they are, and all of a sudden pulled everything. And what's even better is Anna Valens, that troon psychopath rape fetishist, left Twitter. I don't know if he deleted his entire account, or maybe Twitter got wise and banned him. I'd be even happier about that. So of course people like me were looking back like, okay, well, let's go to Blue Sky and take a look at what's over there. And apparently Anna Valens has even fled Blue Sky. We won, y'all. We won against a multi-million-dollar media organization owned by Soros. This is a good white pill to take today. A good white pill to take this week, and a good white pill to have for all of this month. Specifically because we have broken their backs. We have broken their backs. And guys, I am not even that big a fan of Kirsche. I just love her appearances on Side Scrollers. But I'm not the only one. There are thousands of people who have actually messaged her, and she's had so much support all across the board because everybody hates these people. Everybody hates journalists. You got everybody uniting together to raise a giant middle finger to journalists, and I could not be happier. Journalists are the enemy of the people. They're not people. And especially when you get to people like Anna Valens, that piece of human garbage is not a person. That is a freak of nature that deserves what's coming to it. Absolutely. These people are all evil. Never back down. They are psychopaths who will rant and rave and try to burn and steal and kill. If they could get away with it, and have a complete moral justification for doing it, and they would kill people like me and Kirsche and everybody else, anyone to the right of Pol Pot, because that's what they do. They are evil, and half of them have self-imposed endocrine disorders anyway, because half of them are troons. I'm sorry, you're not exactly the most well-mannered, controlled person if that's what you're doing. And I can't help but laugh at these people as they run away with their tails tucked between their legs when they realize, oh, there's consequences to my actions. Oh, bummer. Here's an idea. Think about that before you do something stupid. Think about that before you do something so abjectly evil as to try to cancel a woman who has done nothing but have opinions that are slightly different than yours. Your time is over, lefties, cancel culture bullshit merchants. Your time is over. We don't care about you anymore. We have X now. We have Twitter now. We own that space. We do. We own it now. You don't. You could get away with this back in Jack Dorsey's era, but not in the Elon Musk era. Not going to happen. Not going to happen ever again. And I've said this for a long time. The reality, what was the old statement? The old quote. A lie can make it halfway around the world before the truth even has time to put its pants on. I actually am amending that. A lie can make it halfway around the world, and waiting at the end is Twitter. Because here's what you will never be able to do. Vice will never be able to write, publish, and edit an article a lying article like this without the entire internet scrounging, without the people like this, with the internet autists scrounging the entire internet to find things to destroy you with. And trust me, Vice, you got a lot of skeletons in your closet. And trust me, the people that you hire are going to be even worse because they're not hiring journalists, y'all. They're not hiring journalists. They're hiring activists. And especially when it comes to Anna Valens, there's two possibilities here of why this piece of shit got hired. Number one, Hired. Well, either way, they're hired because they're hired because he's a troon. Try to be a trans woman. No, just a man playing dress up, being and popping hormone replacement therapy and pretending he can speak on women's issues at all. So either they hired him, didn't vet him properly, didn't do a basic Google search, didn't enlist any of their actual investigators to figure out who the hell this guy was, didn't do any of that, and just didn't know. All they saw is, oh, you're a man who doesn't have a dick anymore. Okay, you're hired. Or B, they did the research, they vetted him properly, they found his stuff, and they hired him anyway. Either way, you look like a piece of garbage, Vice. You look like a garbage news organization, but we've always known you've been that way for a very long time. We won. We won. And I say we, I mean the normal people won. And that's something you will never be able to capture ever again. And you have nobody to blame but yourselves. All right. So we'll see. We'll see. Vice has taken down, Anna Valens has fled to the hills, and Vice has taken down their articles. We'll see. There's some speculation that maybe they're just doing it to save face and they're doing it to republish it in a different manner. I don't know. I hope that's not the case, but it sounds like Kirsha's more than ready to come out guns blazing, as it were. So I can't wait to see that. Let's move on to something actually a bit more interesting. There's two things happened this week. One is the finale of Andor, the season 2 finale of Andor, the series finale of Andor, and the Superman final trailer of James Gunn's Superman. So I'll start off with Superman because I have some thoughts about that. Superman is my favorite hero. It's favorite DC hero. The only hero that I will actually wear merch for. Because Superman, to me, is one of the very first movies I ever remember watching with my dad. John Williams' score is absolutely iconic. That movie is fantastic. Superman the movie and the Donner cut of Superman 2 are great. I love those films. They're comfort films. They're the films that have not been touched by the modern audience, by modern Hollywood machine. Star Wars, I'm kind of trying to warm back into, but thanks to the sequel trilogy, I mean, who cares? Who cares anymore about Star Wars? But Superman, I'm actually pretty excited about, especially the Silver Age aesthetic they have going. Superman's fighting a kaiju. Everything's out in the daylight, out in the open. It looks very, very crowded, and I'm worried about that because James Gunn movies are pretty good, but they are pretty one note at times. It's just terrible people all in a circle screaming at each other. And I hope that's not the case. Superman deserves better than that. Superman is not that kind of person, and Superman does not lend itself very well to James Gunn's writing. We'll see how this works. I hope it's good. I will still be there to see it in the theaters because why not? It's a comic book movie. It's a comic book movie in the summer, in the middle of the summer, and it's Superman. Absolutely. And it sounds like they're reusing John Williams' score, which I am all for, even if it is overproduced, tinny electronic AI instruments. I hate that. But you know what? Better than nothing. We'll see how it goes. But Andor is one thing I really wanted to get into. So the series finale was very, very good. I really, really enjoyed it. I'm not going to give away any spoilers about who lives and who dies because we all know who lives and who dies because we've seen Rogue One. We know Andor doesn't survive it. Andor does not survive till the end of the Galactic Civil War. We know nobody that he makes friends with does either, including K2SO, the droid he fixed up. It just makes me very, very sad because I completely agree with Drinker. Andor has been some of the best Star Wars we've ever seen since the original trilogy. That makes me very sad to admit. I hate that because that's what the sequel trilogy should have been. Because Andor dares to ask good questions, dares to tackle some really fun aspects of how the galaxy works, how the Empire came to be, and how the Rebellion came to be. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. And the Kyle Soller, I think, is the guy who plays Cyril Karn. One of the best Star Wars characters I've ever seen. Fantastic. That guy deserves an Emmy. That guy deserves an Emmy, even though he wasn't in these last 3 episodes. It was fantastic. And watching it made me very sad. It actually got me back into Star Wars. As I listened to the soundtrack today. I was actually looking up some old school Star Wars books to read over the summer, as I got a vacation coming up in August and I need something to read. I'm gonna just be lounging on the beach all day, smoking cigars and drinking rum. So I need something to read, and I'm going to run out of Bond novels pretty quickly. But it made me want to go back and revisit Star Wars, like the good stuff, the expanded universe, what Disney calls Legends. I ain't touching nothing Disney's done. This is Andor. This is Andor. I will buy that. I will buy that on physical media immediately, 100%. This is good stuff. It's really good stuff. We're talking John le Carre, Cold War spy thriller in Star Wars. What? And it works. And it works. But when the credits rolled, I was angry. I was really angry, and I was really angry for one reason and one reason alone. There is no reason why this should have been as good as it was. With it being as good as it was, there's no reason why everything else and part of Disney Lucasfilm shouldn't have been just as good, if not better. Absolutely no freaking reason why. It has taken, when did they buy it? 2019? Why we have had nothing good from Star Wars for the decade that they've had it. Nothing good. Rogue One, yeah, it was okay. It was okay. It's incomplete, but it was okay. Andor, great. But it's a prequel to the original trilogy movie. Kind of confusing and kind of ridiculous. It's a good story. Great story. Definitely go watch it. Definitely go watch it. Subscribe to Disney Plus for a month. Watch it, cancel your subscription, and cite Andor as the reason why. Like, I decided to watch Andor. Because Disney needs to know this. Disney needs to know. They need to learn their lesson and learn it quick. Because if they're ever going to pump any kind of enthusiasm or excitement into Star Wars ever again, they need to get their act together. Make good stuff. We have completely original characters in Andor, and I am completely invested in their stories. Why? Because the writing is good. The performances are good. The set design is good. The music is good. The actors that they got knew what they were doing. They knew the plan. They knew what they were contributing to, and they were happy to do it. There is no reason on planet freaking Earth that this is the only good Star Wars we've had in a decade. Unbelievable. It's unbelievable how just incompetent the Kathleen Kennedy and the entirety of Lucasfilm have just, how utterly incompetent they've been with their biggest IP, one of the biggest IPs in the history of probably the world right now, especially in the modern era. Absolutely. Star Wars is approaching 50 years. 50 years. We're getting close to half a century. Look what they've done with it. We've had the Acolyte. We've had Boba Fett. We've had Obi-Wan. We've had Ahsoka. We've had season 3 of The Mandalorian. And God knows what else. We've had, and the ending of the Clone Wars was pretty good, but I mean, that wasn't Disney's doing. That was Dave Filoni's doing. That was just a carryover from what he started on the Cartoon Network days. Disney has absolutely nothing. All Disney did was write him a check. And Dave Filoni has done nothing but try to rip off samurai movies. And terribly, I might add. It just makes me sick. It makes me sick to see this. I mean, I used to live for Star Wars releases. I used to live for Star Wars films. And now I don't care. And now I actively, and I'm gone from actively hating it to now I just don't care. I don't even know what's coming out. I don't give a shit. Why would I? Why would I spend time on a franchise that does not care about me as a fan? And that's not me reading between the lines. That's the creators telling me that they don't care about me as a fan. They don't care. Why would they? They got everything they want. Well, now they got everything they don't want, which is apathy and completely ruining all of their, and completely ruining their IP that nobody cares about it. It's just apathy. And the people who actually like the Disney stuff are dumb as a box of rocks, and they'll cheer for anything that has lightsabers or force powers or anything that they slightly recognize. They're idiots. They're complete idiots. They're complete retards. You know, they deserve the Star Wars that they're going to get. I have no sympathy. I have no sympathy for whenever it turns out that actually they're wrong the whole time. It just makes me sad. This makes me sad because Red Letter Media had a great quote. Said, "What's it like to see all your favorite franchises go down in flames?" Yeah. I'll be celebrating this summer. I'll be celebrating proper Star Wars Day by reading extended universe books. I'll be playing some of the old school video games, just enjoying what it was, and I'll be remembering what it was, because you can't. It's in the legends. It's in the legends timeline canon, whatever. It can't be touched now. Can't be touched. It's gonna stay good forever. But speaking of staying good forever, let's read the World War I book. So again, for those of you who are tuning in brand new, we're reading Jeff Seurat's To the Last Man. It's a novel of World War I. So we're following quite a few different historical figures at this point. We are following Manfred von Richthofen, you might know as the Red Baron. We are also following Raoul Loufberry, who is a French-born pilot who just showed up in the French Foreign Legion. And he is about ready to get in the plane and start kicking ass and taking names. So we're still on Raoul Loufberry. So let me adjust here. All right, let's continue. So he just got to as a reminder, he just got to the airfield and was helping fix a problem that the planes that they're piloting, the Newports, that's what they're called. Okay. He did not expect a handshake. Lieutenant Delage greeting him with a wide smile in perfect English. Delage was a younger man, a neat cropped mustache, common among the French officers. Corporal Loufberry, welcome. Most delighted to meet you. I trust your journey was not difficult. Loufberry held a salute, and Delage waved it aside, said, Nonsense. I don't hold to such formality here. Captain to know a bit more, perhaps, but I assure you I am no different than any one of you. We are all here to fly, yes? The man's smile was infectious, and Loufberry responded with a smile of his own. He didn't know what to say. He watched as Delage opened a small cabinet, retrieved a bottle of brandy. Not so much during the day, mind you, but, well, no one else is here. He winked at Loufberry now. If they were, this bottle would quickly disappear. It's a curious thing. The Americans have an astounding capacity for alcohol. Damn right. The glasses were filled, and Loufberry sipped the powerful tonic, felt his face curling from the aroma. Delage laughed, said, My own private stock. Quite a treat, I promise you. Most of these fellows seem happy with anything the villagers provide. Frenchmen so take pride in his country's spirits. Regrettably, it requires more than patriotism to swallow some of what its inhabitants' cellars hear about. Have you received word of your promotion? Loufberry did not expect the question. No, sir. Soon, I promise. Once this unit was established, it was merely a formality before all of you were granted the rank of sergeant. A small token of appreciation. Some would say very small. However, there are other rewards as well. Bill Thaw is already a sergeant, his papers coming through this morning. He doesn't know yet. Mr. Rockwell should be as well. Headquarters is determined to reward success. With Mr. Rockwell's confirmed kill, he will soon receive promotion to adjutant, equivalent of your sergeant major, I suppose. Loufberry could sense that Delage knew far more of what was happening around him than the mechanics. Is Mr. Rockwell all right? Are his injuries severe? Oh, you heard. No far worse in appearance. Cut up his face rather badly. The doctor spent some time just picking glass out of him. Ugh. The captain ordered him to the hospital, but I'm confident Mr. Rockwell will return quickly. Loufberry glanced down at his bag. Is there room for me here in this house? Oh, certainly. You will room with Norman Prince. Fine fellow. Top of the stairway to the right. Loufberry glanced up the narrow stairs, reached down for his bag, and Delage said, Your record says that you were born in France. Yes, Clermont-Ferrand. Ah, yes, beautiful down there. My father is American. I became an American citizen several years ago. Is there anything else, sir? Forgive me for mentioning this, Mr. Loufberry, but I was quite familiar with Mark Porp. He was an inspiration to so many young men, including myself. Flying was something new to this world, and I was in awe of his skills. You were close, eh? Loufberry did not speak of Porp often, chose his words, said, He taught me how to fly. He taught me everything I know about airplanes. His death was very difficult. I apologize, Mr. Loufberry. It is not my place to open such a wound. He's the reason I'm here, sir. There's no apology for that. The finest man I ever knew is dead because of this war. He is your inspiration, then? How unfortunate that you hold something positive from this loss. Tragedy destroys some men, steals their will to fight. I have seen it in this army from the beginning of the war. When a man loses a friend, he has a choice to make. He can lose himself in mourning, or he can fight on. I have every intention of fighting on. It's all I care about. Delage studied him, nodded slowly. Revenge can be a powerful tonic. He held up his glass, like the strongest brandy. Lufberry thought a moment, did not like the word. I would not call it revenge. Mark Porp was a man who had passion for life. He never wasted a single day with mundane concerns. He never complained about the trivial. Every sunrise meant the start of some new adventure. Even this war, when he learned of it, he was scheduled to begin a new flying tour of the Orient, but of course, he would not turn his back on his country, so he volunteered immediately with the Aéronautique Militaire. Yes, I recall, it was in the newspapers. The newspapers. When he was killed, they came to me, his mechanic. Had to know every detail. I had nothing to tell them. His death had meaning to me that they would not understand. He paused, saw quiet concern on Delage's face. I have worked hard to become a good pilot, Lieutenant. I cannot bring him back, but I intend to do what I can to make the Germans regret they started this war. And you shall have your opportunities, Mr. Lufberry. All that is required of you here is that you fly well, that you fight hard, and that you behave like a man. I understand your desire to kill the enemy, but I must mention that Captain Tenno and I require absolute obedience when we are on patrols. He laughed now. Some of you Americans seem convinced you can take on all of Germany in your little Newport. Damn right. I promise you, if you allowed us to lead you, this squadron will enjoy a great deal of success. Lufberry downed the last bit of brandy, looked down at his bag again, and Delage said, Of course, you are probably tired. Go up to your room. The others should return from their patrol at any time. I know Captain Tenno is anxious to meet you. Thank you, sir. Lufberry picked up the bag and began to climb the steps, heard the clatter at the front door. A breathless voice. Sir, they're back! Sergeant Thaw is down. He did not return. They say he crashed in the combat area. Did he survive? We don't know, sir. The captain is already driving to the front. Delage followed the man out the door, the house suddenly empty. Lufberry stood on the steps, stared down at the empty foyer. The front door opened slightly, swinging slowly closed. He turned, moved slowly up the stairs, thought, So, it has begun. He thought of waiting at the house, but the silence was... You know what? Before we keep going, I'm going to take a drink. Love it. Good Texas beer. He had thought of waiting at the house, but the silence was awful. Once his bag was emptied, he could not just sit. After several long minutes of staring out the window, his patience snapped shut. In one quick moment, he was down the stairs, out into the dusty road, and on his way to the airfield. He moved up behind the canvas hangars, heard many voices this time, could already smell the exhaust, the spent gasoline of the returning planes. He moved out in front, saw a crowd of men, some of them mechanics. But there were others as well. A tight circle of men, animated, the voices growing louder. Lufberry moved closer. He could hear the words now. One man, the uniform of a captain, a heavy French accent. Do you wish to fly? It is that simple. I will not have this. The captain's fury was directed at one man, the other standing back just a step, allowing the man to endure the full brunt of the officer's rage. There was silence for a long moment, and Lufberry could see the captain's face now, the color of Bordeaux wine. Well, Mr. Chapman? Sir, I believe you did not see the enemy. I could not allow them to pass without a look. A look? Mr. Chapman, you broke formation against my orders. You attacked a squadron of enemy planes without any investigation. Your outrageous behavior cost the life of your comrade. Lufberry stayed back, could see the face of the guilty pilot, recognized the name. Chapman. Victor Chapman was young, early 20s, and far taller than any of the men around him. He seemed to bend under the weight of the captain's dressing down. Behind him, the other men were silent, no one even suggesting a smile. They began to notice Lufberry now. One man pointing, the perfect excuse to interrupt the captain's relentless lecture. Sir? The new man? The captain turned abruptly, and Lufberry could see he was about his own age. Wore the same tight mustache as Delage. Lufberry felt the stares from all of them, said, Sorry to interrupt, I am Raoul Lufberry. I was assigned... Good! The captain moved close to him, glanced back to the others. Yes, good, he should hear this as well. Mr. Lufberry, I am Captain Georges Tenno, your commanding officer. Some of these men do not seem to recognize my authority. We nearly lost a man today because one of your fellow pilots decided to play cowboy. The fight he got into could have sent us all into the ground. Lufberry could see the guilt on Chapman's face. the man clearly aware of what he'd done. Chapman seemed to welcome Tenau's change of attention, said, "Raoul, is it? Welcome, Victor Chapman. Not my finest day, as you may have noticed." The name flowed into Lufberry's mind now, and he said, "Bill Thaw?" Chapman nodded. Yes, he was wounded and able to pancake his plane near the French lines. He is all right, should be back here tonight. Tenau had said his piece to Chapman, held out a hand to Lufberry, said, "Forgive my temper, Mr. Lufberry. We experience a problem today." He looked at Chapman. "I believe it is solved, yes?" Chapman glanced at the others, said, "Yes, very sorry." The others began to move towards Lufberry, a few sympathetic hands patting Chapman on the back. The introductions began, the names all familiar to Lufberry, the roster he had studied. He felt the warmth of their greetings, saw smiles on each face. Even Tenau. Delage was there, emerging from the hangar, and Lufberry could see now rows of Newports behind him, the mechanics tending to each one. "Ah, Mr. Lufberry, so you have met your comrades. Have you explained your particular talent? Quite unusual, certainly, for this group." Lufberry wasn't sure what Delage meant. "No? Well, Mr. Lufberry here is quite the mechanic, isn't that right?" Lufberry was embarrassed now. Had never thought of himself as having a talent at all. "I was first trained to be a mechanic before I learned to fly." "So you're handy with a wrench, eh?" The voice belonged to Norman Prince, one of the men responsible for the squadron's birth. Prince was younger than Lufberry had expected, but unlike the baby-faced Chapman, he wore the French-style mustache. Prince laughed now and said, "Don't tell Kiffin Rockwell. He hates mechanics, thinks they're all witches or something." The others laughed, obviously agreeing with Prince's odd description. Lufberry wasn't sure how to respond, and Prince seemed to read him. Said, "He'll be back here in a couple of days. The only man in the squadron who speaks English worse than the captain. Has to be because he's from Tennessee. Must have learned how to shoot when he was 3 years old with some damn squirrel gun or something. He took down our first Bosch plane, our first hero." "Yes, I heard." Prince continued, seemed to enjoy his own story. "Rockwell's a genuine Confederate. I think he believes Germans are just Yankees in disguise. Hates the Bosch more than any man alive." He glanced at Tenau, seemed to test the captain's mood. "But if the captain here doesn't let him back in the air before much longer, old Kiffin might begin to hate Frenchmen too. Hell, I have to keep quiet about going to Harvard. He might take a shot or two at me." Even Tenau laughed, surprising Lufberry. He could feel the humor in all of them, something shared. He could feel the openness extending towards him as well. Prince said to Tenau, "We have a Newport for our new man yet?" Tenau shook his head, said, "Mr. Lufberry, we have only 5 airplanes thus far." "We had 6, he glanced at Chapman, "but I've been promised more in the few days. In the meantime, we shall patrol in shifts. Mr. Lufberry, you shall accompany me tomorrow morning." He looked at the others. "Mr. Prince, Mr. Hall, Mr. Cowden, we will make the first patrol at 6 o'clock. It's typical for us, Mr. Lufberry." "Yes, sir." Prince moved close to him, one arm around Lufberry's shoulders. "Ready to kill some Germans?" Lufberry didn't answer. Could see Delage looking at him, quiet concern in the Frenchman's eyes. Delage said, "Mr. Prince, Mr. Lufberry may teach us all how to do that." I love this. This is so fun. Let's see how much. Let's write another chapter here. Okay, chapter 4, continuing Lufberry, which is kind of funny because, we're just in Lufberry. Another section. Bayonne Airfield, France, June 18, 1916. He brought the plane in slowly, settled on a clear strip of grass. Could see Delage's plane already moving towards the hangar. Bert Hall was behind him, circling, and Lufberry eased the nose down, felt the Newport settling beneath him in a sinking glide. He flicked the toggle, cut the gasoline to the motor, the prop still spinning, washing him with warm air. The plane now dropped the last couple of feet, bouncing gently over tufts of grass. He flipped the switch again, the motor engaging, and he pushed the rudder pedal with his foot, turned to follow Delage. He flexed his feet, the numbness just now wearing off. He was still not used to the bone-chilling cold of the air at high altitude, something Porp had once cautioned him about. Porp had rarely flown higher than a few thousand feet, had to stay within clear sight of his audience. Lufberry had watched alongside the awestruck spectators as Porp performed, dancing the plane in loops and spins and all manner of acrobatics. Even after so many months, the show itself was unnerving to Lufberry, watching his friends stretch aircraft to the limit of their engineering and sometimes beyond. Lufberry's fear had evolved into curiosity on a tour of Egypt. Porp had secured the use of a two-seater would probably allow his mechanic to experience the heights for himself. Porp knew what every pilot knows. At the first time a man feels himself leave the ground, there are two possibilities. He'll be terrified, or he'll feel the greatest thrill of his life. It did not surprise Porp that Loofberry had no fear at all. Instead, the mechanic marveled at the sights, as much as he marveled at the engineering that kept the plane in the air. It was a strange new experience for Loofberry. How the higher you flew, the thinner the air. He experienced the struggle to breathe, discovered with amazement how every little movement became an effort, the brain floating in some kind of stupor. Porp had warned him, if you weren't careful, you might lose your senses completely. When Loofberry began to fly on his own, he experimented, testing his own limits, flying as high as the primitive planes would allow. It was pure fun at first, feeling his mind dissolve, testing how high he could go before dropping back down to heavier air. But the cold had been a shock. Despite Porp's warning, Loofberry had been totally unprepared. I thought his feet would freeze completely away. Now he wore the fur-lined boots, the same boots all the American pilots wore. No one else in the squadron seemed to complain. After every patrol, every pilot hopped down from his Newport with the same exhilaration. He watched the others, listened to the talk as the heavy flying suits were peeled away, the boots yanked off. There were nothing special inside the boots, the same thick wool socks he wore, and it had begun to infuriate him that they kept silent about the frozen agony of their toes. After 3 weeks in the squadron, he assumed it was his agony alone, some weakness that he dare not admit. He had witnessed too much of their teasing already. These pilots, clearly a rowdy group, inspired to relentless taunting of any weakness any one of them might reveal. They might all have frozen toes, but if they weren't going to admit it, he wouldn't either. He had been out on early patrol, had followed Delage alongside Cowden and the new man, Charles Johnson. But with the patrol completed, the planes would not stay on the ground any longer than the mechanics required to refuel the tank and, if necessary, reload the machine gun. The Newport 11 was the smallest aeroplane Loofberry had ever flown. The French had nicknamed it the Bébé. The pronunciation barely acceptable to men who considered themselves fighter pilots. No one wanted to fly anything called a baby. But the Newport 11 lacked in size and made up for in power and maneuverability. The small craft capable of speeds over 100 miles per hour, matching her with both the single-winged Fokker Eindecker as well as the new German two-winged Albatros, I guess. If the Newport had a weakness, it was firepower. Though the Germans had not invented the interrupter gear, they were perfecting it. Previously, it was impractical to mount a machine gun in the nose of the plane, since firing the gun would eventually destroy the plane's own propeller. The French pilot Roland Garros had attempted to solve the problem by attaching steel plates to the inside of the prop, which would deflect those bullets that actually struck the plane. But Garros had been shot down, and both he and his plane had been captured. His secret had been revealed, but to the German engineers. His plane's odd technology caused more amusement than concern. While the two-seater planes had a machine gun mounted in the back, no danger to the prop, if the single-seat airplane was to become an effective fighter, something more sophisticated was required. The concept of the interrupter gear had been available to both sides at the start of the war, but only the Germans had accurately predicted how valuable a weapon the single-seat airplanes might become. The Fokkers had the gear now, which connected the motor to the mechanism of the machine gun, interrupting the firing of the gun when the blade of the prop was in the bullet's path. German pilots can aim their guns by aiming the nose of their plane. A skilled pilot was automatically becoming a skilled marksman. The Newport's 1 Lewis machine gun was mounted on the plane's top wing so as to fire above the blades of the prop. In an engagement, the pilot had to concentrate on flying the plane while reaching up over his head to fire the gun. Two distinctly separate skills. Worse, the Lewis guns carried their ammunition in a round drum that fastened directly to the gun itself. The drum held exactly 47 bullets, which could be exhausted in a few seconds. Each pilot carried spare drums fastened to the inside of the cockpit, but changing the drum while being pursued by an enemy aircraft could be a nightmare. The pilot usually had to stand up, holding the blade stick between his knees. The mechanism for freeing the drum was clumsy and awkward, often too difficult to manage for stiff fingers and gloved hands. Worse still, the Lewis gun jammed so easily that often it wouldn't fire at all. And we will leave it there. So Loofberry is going to be proceeding on his patrol next week. So feel free to stop by again next week, 7 p.m. Central Time as normal. So tomorrow I will be on the weekly Rogues Gallery, which is our every Friday night show. It's going to be pretty fun. Don't know what we're going to be talking about. Doesn't really matter. We're just all getting together and have a grand old time. But in the meantime, thank you all so much for tuning in. Appreciate the comments, appreciate the likes and the shares and everything. And I appreciate all of you tuning in to watch. So have a good night.